Hey friends, if you are getting value here, please take a moment, like, subscribe, and drop us a review. It's how we keep getting you this great leadership input for free.
Welcome to Confessions of a Terrible Leader, where real leaders share the raw truth about the lessons they learned the hard way so you don't have to. Join our host, Layci Nelson, founder of Transcend Leadership Collective and former terrible leader. On this podcast, we invite you to step into the confessional and get real with the messy stories and behind-the-scenes reality of leadership. Let's get to it.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Confessions of a Terrible Leader. I'm your host, and let us never forget, former terrible leader, Layci Nelson. I am thrilled to introduce you to Kevin Palmieri today. He has such a fascinating, rich story. I'm looking forward to digging into it. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much for having me, Layci. I am excited to chat. As I told you in the pre-chat, I listened to some of your stuff, and it's wonderful what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Kevin is the founder and the host of Next Level University. For our listeners, Kevin, what is the couple sentence elevator pitch? What is that? Why should someone be like, oh, I'm going to go look that up?
It is heart-driven, but no BS, holistic self-improvement for dream chasers. That is who we are in a nutshell. And the other short one is self-improvement in your pocket every single day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. Those are kind of the two pitches.
And every single day. And I also did some creeping on your stuff. I was thinking, oh, every day recordings, that's intense. I was thinking they were going to be 5 minutes. No, they're like 25-minute episodes.
No, we do it. We do it, Layci. If I'm going to talk to our community about getting a little bit better every day, I want to be there to help them. I want to walk the talk. You know this. I think having a podcast teaches you more about yourself than probably anything else.
Oh, yeah.
So there's been a lot of very valuable lessons for sure.
I have a couple questions about your terms and your definitions. When you say dream chaser, I think all of us would like to say, oh, I'm a dream chaser. But I also would challenge a lot of us think we're a dream chaser, but maybe we aren't a dream chaser. What do you think of that? And what does it mean to you in your world to be a dream chaser?
I have found that a lot of people are turned off by the word entrepreneur.
Okay.
And not everybody wants to have that concrete container. So dream chaser to me is just somebody who aspires to more, whether that's doing your own thing, whether that's leaning more into fulfillment, whether that's leveling up your relationship. It's somebody who aspires to more and they're willing to really commit themselves to trying to figure out how to accomplish that more.
Right. When you say really commit, what does that mean? Because I think a lot of us think we are really committed and we get stuck in consumer mode of the commitment, right? Like, I'm going to read 500 books, listen to 80,000 hours of podcast. What's the difference between thinking we're committed and then having evidence that we're committed?
I think it's doing the inner work. There's something we talk about called the knowledge implementation gap.
Yep.
I'm somebody who, when I don't know what to do, I go try to find the answer. And once I know the answer, just let me go. I'm off to the races. Now I'm excited to do it. But everything that has happened for us has started from the inside. So I think the commitment is really to look in the mirror and say, look, what am I afraid of about me? What am I proud of about me? On a scale of 0 to 10, where is my self-belief? Where is my self-worth? I think that type of stuff is really where the commitment starts, because there's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of how-tos. There's a lot of TED Talks. There's a lot of podcasts. That isn't really the stuff that makes the change. It's the stuff that we're doing at the identity level that really sticks. And usually that starts within. So I would say that, somebody who's they're really committed when they're willing to look in the mirror and say, this is what I love about me. This is what I want to work on. And this is who I feel like I am. And this is who I feel like I want to become more of.
I'm assuming you would agree that it's never done, right? We've never arrived.
No.
The process is the arrival, right? Being engaged in the process is what it's all about. It's not the destination as much as it's committing to the journey, and you're going to be a traveler for the rest of your life.
You never really get to the destination.
Yeah.
The destination is the inspiration for doing the stuff. And it's interesting how the destination tends to move further away as you get closer to it. Because I think as you grow, you set different destinations.
Yes.
That's the interesting piece.
Yes. I think also your vision changes. It's like you get night vision goggles all of a sudden, and there's all these options or these places in front of you that you couldn't even see before.
Well, I think that's belief. When I started this journey, I was so insecure. I had very little self-belief. I might come across as very confident today. I've just done this thousands of times. So this is kind of like my comfort zone at this point. But the more you believe in yourself, I think the more specific you are with your goals, the bigger shots you're willing to take, the more audacious you're willing to be, the better you are at handling the inevitable failures that come with dream chasing. I just think belief is one of those things that if you can really lean into it and work on it, there's a big unlock if you can work on self-belief and confidence and certainty. It's huge.
Yeah. If you would be so kind as to share a little bit of your backstory with our listeners so they can understand when you say where you came from, what was your catalyst that set you on this path that you decided there's got to be a better way, I'm going to find it, and I'm willing to pay the price to get there?
I was 25, and from all outside standards, I was living the dream. I had a high-paying job. My girlfriend at the time was a model. I was competing in a bodybuilding show, so I was quite literally in the best shape I will ever be in. Sports car, new apartment, great friends. I had all of the things. And I was somebody who grew up broke. I didn't know my dad, didn't go to college, wasn't very smart, and somehow had beaten the odds and all that. And I remember one day my girlfriend sat me down and she said, I'm leaving. You're not the man that you were at the beginning of this relationship. And I feel like you're struggling enough to support yourself. Never mind, pour into my dreams. It's like, okay, how did we get here? So she left, and then work got slow. After my bodybuilding show, I was dealing with an eating disorder for sure. So it went from the highest of what seemed like highs to very low pretty quickly. I convinced myself that if I just went and made more money, that would fix all of my problems.
Right.
I think many of us have fallen into that trap.
Yeah. Especially if you grow up without it, right?
Right. And it makes sense. Logically, it's like didn't have, sad, have, happy.
Right.
So the next year, I dedicated my life essentially to just making as much money as humanly possible. Traveled a ton for work that year. So I spent 10 months living on the road. And then I got to the end of the year. I'd made the most money I'd ever made, but I didn't feel any different. My bank account was better, but my self-belief and my self-worth and my insecurities were all far worse. I was interviewed on a YouTube channel right around that time. After that interview, I said to one of my friends, I said, imagine if you could do that for a living. He said, there's people out there that do.
Yep.
Interesting. So I went and bought the mics. I went and bought the mixer. I learned how to audio edit. I learned how to video. I learned how to do all this stuff. And I fell in love with podcasting. I had to continue to go to this job because, as you know, in the beginning, there's not exactly a line out the door of people saying, Layci, this is a great idea. How much cash do you need?
Right. Let me give you money to talk to me.
I thought it was going to work that way. It didn't. So I had to continue going to this job, and I was homesick and I was depressed and I was anxious. And eventually I woke up in a hotel room getting ready for work one day, sitting on the edge of a hotel bed, just thinking to myself, if I was just to take my life, I would take all my problems with me. Reached out to my friend who then became my business partner. And I ended up leaving that job a few months later. Then I went full-time into this podcast thing in 2018 and was very broke for the next few years trying to figure it out. And here we are, however many years later, and we're over 1 million listens and over $1 million in the business and still failing in many ways. But that's the cliff notes of how we got here.
Wow, what a journey. And your business partner, do you guys have a similar trajectory of big turning points? Because having a business partner does not work for everyone.
Yeah.
It oftentimes goes south as the business grows and you realize you don't have a shared vision for where you want to take this thing.
Yeah.
What's kept you guys together? I mean, this is a really personal question. You'd be like, we're editing this out, but
never.
What has kept you guys to be able to be business partners still and like each other through this process?
So one, we went to middle school and high school together.
Okay.
I played spin the bottle in his basement with him and the popular girls in middle school. I peaked early, Layci. I peaked early. So that's one. We have a lot of history together. Two, we have very similar core values. We have very similar core beliefs, and we have very similar core aspirations. I think the deepest is I'm terrified of being left behind. He's terrified of being alone. I will never get left behind because I will work my face off.
Yep.
And he knows that if we stay together, he'll never be alone. We just have very opposite core wounds when it comes to that.
Right.
Trajectory, similar, but he got straight A's in high school. He got the President's Award. He went to Worcester Polytechnic Institute, one of the best technical colleges on the planet, went to get jobs at iRobot and all these other companies. So he's way smarter than I am.
A different intelligence.
I appreciate that. We always joke, if we were going to rename the podcast, it would be the genius and the comedian. And I'll let you guess which one of those two I would be. But yeah, I think it's the core values, the core beliefs, and the core aspirations. And honestly, as corny as this is going to sound, we would rather be good men than bad men who are successful. And we keep each other in check with that. We're very honest with each other. And last thing, I didn't know my dad. I didn't meet my dad until I was 27. His father passed away in a car accident when he was 2. So there's a lot of similarities and a lot of opposites, but it works really, really, really well. And I can count on one hand how many arguments we've had in the last 8 years. It's weird. It's a weird situation.
Yeah, it works.
It works very well.
When listeners are thinking about either bringing in a partner to their business or starting a business with someone, from your experience, what are the things to look for? I mean, I know you just said core values, make sure your aspirations are in alignment. What are other things that maybe aren't as obvious that you're like, really dig deep on this before you decide to make this commitment to move forward with somebody in a professional relationship?
What triggers you at a very, very, very deep level? There is very little entitlement with us. Like, we work really hard and I don't expect almost anything. We have said that about each other all the time. If he was born with a silver spoon, this never would have worked. If I was born with a silver spoon, this never would have worked.
Right.
Because I think entitlement is one of the problems in the world. I think it's a very, very deep problem. The people that you surround yourself with who you just can't stand being around, what are some of those attributes? Avoid that. What are some of your strengths? And then what are some of your weaknesses? I would probably start there, but I haven't seen anything work as well as the core values, core beliefs, and core aspirations.
Yes,
just
I agree.
Because
it's core, hence the title.
It's the deep stuff.
Yeah.
There are certain things that I don't know if people can get around.
Yes.
If I had a business partner who said, we're all going to charge $10,000 for everything and I only care about money, it's like, that's not going to work. Right.
I think where I've seen, and personally in my own history, run into poor decision-making in this area is when I have linked myself closely with people who said that their core values were something and they are aspirational, not real. They are citing aspirational core values and not doing, on my part, the due diligence of making sure I've watched long enough their actions to see that those actions are in alignment with the words they're saying, right? Like not having that ability or lacking the patience it takes to play the long game to make a wise decision. Like you guys had your whole lives, which there's not a better way, right? Like you've seen each other at your worst and your best from the beginning. But for those of us that don't always have that, you don't have to move fast on it.
I wouldn't. I think it's kind of like dating.
Yeah.
Would you bet on the couple who meets and then a week later they're getting married? I almost would never bet on those people. If you're out there and you're successful, I am proud of you and I'm happy for you. I just think statistically it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the same with business partnerships. I think if it's convenient, it's probably not the best.
Speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah. I didn't want a business partner like Alan. Alan's a giant, can I gently swear or no?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Alan's a giant pain in the ass. But in the ways that I need to be redirected.
Yeah. I
will literally get a text from him saying, hey, brother, that $9.99 that you have that you're paying every month for this, do we need it or no?
Yeah.
It's like, it's $10, Alan. Yeah, no, every dollar counts though, Kev.
Yeah. He's like, okay. It's $10. Hello.
I don't want that. I didn't want that in a business partner.
But you needed it.
Yeah, that to me is a really interesting thing. It's not necessarily about how well, we work really well together, but it's not about us. It's about the business.
Right.
I had a conversation with somebody one time and they said, you should be the CEO. And I said, under no circumstances should I be the CEO. I will crash this thing into the rocks over and over again. I'm a great number 2. I'm not a great number 1. He's a really, really, really good leader. I'm humble enough to realize that that's just not where I should be. And I think that's another attribute to a good partnership is humility and courage. That's a big one.
I love that. Such good insight for people.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to go back to something you said a little earlier in the conversation. You said that you have to be willing to push yourself out of your comfort zone. What is your current comfort zone that you're pushing through? And how can those of us that have been on this journey for a while realize we've gotten way too comfortable to our own detriment? How do we recognize it earlier than later?
Right now, mine is giving feedback. I suck at giving feedback because I've had to receive so much feedback in order to get here. And a lot of it's been very painful and life altering is maybe more serious than it needs. But I've had some feedback where it's like, how am I going to sleep tonight? This is absolutely brutal. So I'm afraid to give that to somebody else.
Okay.
I just am. And I don't want to be villainized and I want them to know that I care. So I think that's what I'm currently dealing with. I think it's about recognizing that some people's comfort zones are external.
Mm-hmm.
So do I believe I can talk in front of those 200 people?
Right.
Yeah, that's easy for me. Okay, cool. Let's talk about how confident you are when it comes to setting boundaries with the people closest to you. How do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's my deepest fear. That's where we need to focus.
Right.
Usually it tends to be a ping pong between somebody who's really good at external but struggles with internal and social interactions and vice versa. So I would check in, one, where are you more confident? External achievement or internal and social relationships?
Yeah.
The next thing is, okay, what's the thing that you've been avoiding that you know you shouldn't be avoiding anymore?
Yes.
That's probably where I would start. And again, I wouldn't have any of this data if I didn't have a business partner who was completely the opposite of me.
Right.
He's not afraid. He'd give a speech in front of 10,000 people right now and he would fail and he wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I would lose my mind. But for him, setting boundaries was always hard.
Mm-hmm.
For me, for some reason, I was better at that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just that. Let's identify first, are you an external or an internal struggle? And then from there, we can say, all right, well, what are the things that we're avoiding? What are the common lessons that continue to pop up that we have not been able to dismiss yet? Okay, why? What is our piece in that? That's probably where I would start.
Yeah. Some questions that I hate to be asked and that I need to be asked on a regular basis, especially when I feel like I'm kind of walking through concrete in an area, is what are you pretending that you don't see? And what are you pretending that you don't know? Whew, if you sit with those for a while, they get really uncomfortable. So.
Questions are the answer, Layci. And those are great questions. Those are really good questions.
I've never heard it exactly phrased the way you said with the internal and external. And man, that's helpful. May I use that and credit you?
Of course. You can use it and not credit me. It's somebody in the history of time has said it in that way, maybe with different words. I'm sure I wasn't the first person to come up with it.
It's fascinating. I work with very externally successful executives all the time. Multiple times within my week, I'm talking to very wealthy people who've been very successful. And we 9 times out of 10 figure out what the block is, and it's internal, right? Yeah. And now I have a shorthand language of like, okay, it is the block for them or that next comfort zone to break through. They can talk all day long about their business's core values. But when I ask them to talk about their own, when it starts to break from the business, they're like deer in headlights.
Yeah. It's been very similar experience where I was somebody who never really knew anybody wealthy when I was growing up. I didn't really know anybody with money.
I didn't either.
Right? So I assumed it's like, yeah, this is a completely different type of human.
They got it figured out.
Yeah. They must know everything. And then I started working with really, really successful people. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I'm super nervous to record my next video. It's like, what? Wait. You're like super successful. You build businesses. You're worried about jumping in front of the camera. And then, yeah, I just don't know what to say. What if I forget? And it's just a very gentle reminder of the thing that you're not afraid of at all might be somebody else's deepest fear.
Yes.
And the thing that you are terrified of, somebody might not second guess it or think about it at all. And I think that's why empathy is so important. I remember what it was like to be terrified to do stuff like this. And I can't lose sight of that because if I lose sight of that, I'm not going to be able to help somebody who's dealing with that right now.
Absolutely. I think it was Michelle Obama maybe who said she had the fear of self-doubt, not the fear, but that nagging self-doubt of, do I belong at these tables? And she's sitting with some of the most influential, powerful, wealthiest people in the world and realized, oh no, actually none of us have any of this figured out. No one is as smart as you think they are. No one really has it all figured out the way that you think they do. And all of us are just trying to figure this out. And if we have the interpersonal skills and the ability to do it, that's where the difference comes in, right? Is when you have that humility and that courage to be able to even just say that out loud. And that's when the breakthroughs start. I've really found that as I've grown in my own career, my own business has grown, returning to that wisdom and reminding myself, we're all just people trying to find our way home.
Always.
And if we've got core value alignment and we have something we can help each other out with, this is going to be a good thing.
And that's why it's super important to surround yourself with people who understand that. right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said about whether it's from a leadership position or whatever it is.
Right.
There's something to be said about psychological safety. Psychological safety allows for evolution. It allows for transformation. I think it allows for closeness. One of the first things I ever did with my friends that really changed our relationships is when I was done hanging out with them, I would give them a hug and I would say, I love you.
Mm.
And in the beginning, it was uncomfortable as hell.
Yeah.
Because one of my buddies was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I just want you to know I love you.
Yeah. Not a social norm for men hanging out.
No. But again, I don't care. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to be social norm. I want to be social whatever.
Yeah.
I just was texting one of my buddies earlier. We say, we love you all the time.
Yeah.
He'll text me on a holiday and say, I'm super grateful for you. It's like, that's the type of stuff that has really, really helped all of my relationships. And very vulnerably and transparently, I think has also created a lot of resistance in some from a leadership position, depending on the person on the other end. But I was literally thinking to myself, when Layci asks what I'm going through as a leader, am I going to be the first person who literally says, like, honestly, I'm going through a bunch and I still haven't figured it out? I'm sure somebody else has said it, but I was like, that's probably what we're in for today.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone has no response to that, like they think they got it figured out, there's flags everywhere.
Understandable.
All the flags. So
yeah, time to cut the interview.
Right. Like, maybe listeners don't follow this person's advice so much. You've shared a large, vulnerable piece of your journey to get to this point. I want to know, since you've turned the corner, you are now on this new path. In the new path chunk of your life, as you've been learning, confessional time, what is a leadership mistake, misstep, learning opportunity, however you want to frame it, that you have made that has shaped how you lead today? And you look back and you're like, oh, that was a moment that I don't want to ever do the same way again.
It was the misunderstanding that a lot of people say 21st century leadership is about vulnerability, authenticity, and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most of the time they're talking to somebody who is on the other polarity of they don't show any emotion.
Right.
I think we overdid it because I'm naturally a vulnerable person.
Yeah.
We have bi-weekly team meetings with our core team, and I can't tell you how many times I'm crying or Alan's crying or somebody on the team is crying, and I'm all for it. I love it. But I do think it has shifted some of our relationships with the team to the point where if the team was only here for certain needs and growth wasn't a big one, they left, and several of them villainized us after they left.
Interesting.
It's always really hard because we're a self-improvement company at the end of the day. And I want everybody to level up their life and their love and their health and their wealth as much as they level up anything within the business. So I don't know if it's the right answer. I don't know if I would change anything. I don't know if I will change anything moving forward, but I just think I want to be more understanding of how my hyper vulnerability might be perceived as people who aren't practicing vulnerability yet.
Right.
Kind of juggling that. I always want to give permission. Tell me your feelings, shed your tears, whatever it is, give it to me. I'm here. But I don't know if you looking at me differently when I show vulnerability is good for my long-term relationship with someone yet.
Right. You're figuring that out.
I'm trying. I don't want to change that.
Right.
But I've been surprised at some of the things that have happened because of it. I'm still juggling the ideas.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one for me.
When you say things that have happened because of it, is it thematically like you're seeing there's pullback, or they're like, oh, he's too emotionally distraught to make a good decision, which as a woman, that's my fear is, oh, she's hysterical. That's a whole episode. Where is that for you when you're like, okay, this isn't necessarily having the impact I wanted? Have you seen a common thread in different people where you're like, that was a perception that didn't serve well?
Yeah. It's and I'm open to any feedback if there's a better way to put it. Alan and I have said this before. We've had people on the team that kind of like mom us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you shouldn't be working so hard and you're burning yourself out and it's very clear that you're overwhelmed. And it's like, no, thank you. I appreciate that, but I need to push harder. So I think that vulnerability has created within somebody who might not be as self-aware and somebody who struggles with self-worth. It gives them the permission, as I wanted to bring up the opportunity to give me feedback and give me ideas. And sometimes when we don't choose their ideas, they get offended and it kind of breaks the relationship.
Got it.
And it becomes this whole, well, you don't want any feedback. No, it's not that. I'm not vulnerable because I'm looking for feedback or help. I'm vulnerable because I want everybody to be on a similar playing field.
Right. You're trying to model what you hope they all can do.
Yeah. My wife and I have something where I say, are you looking for strategy or are you looking for a shoulder?
Yep.
Right. I'm almost always just looking for a shoulder.
Yes.
I just need to work it out in my brain.
Yeah.
There's something about the energetic dynamics.
Yep. One of the things I always try to encourage and model, and we do this within my team, we teach others to do this within your core leadership team. We check in with each other every core leadership meeting around where's your capacity at right now. And that is an act of vulnerability and understanding it within the context of all of us understanding central nervous system regulation when you're dysregulated. And that's our context for capacity. Like, where are you? How's your bandwidth? We all have the same definition, same word set. So we understand we're on the same page. Sometimes my capacity is going to be very narrow. Going through life in general throws you curveballs all the time. Say I'm usually at a 6 is like my hold steady. 10 is like massive capacity. But today, guys, this week, I'm at about a 2. And sometimes I do share more deeply as to why I'm at a 2, but sometimes I don't. And my team has the same permission to share that level. So giving it that has been helpful in our experience to encourage vulnerability with how are you doing? Where's your capacity at? And then coupling that with getting a crystal clear understanding of when people ask, how can I support you? How to answer. And making sure that we don't assume we know how to support other people.
Yeah.
One of the things I always like to encourage every leader to do is when you are throwing a problem out there to be solved or sharing a vulnerability, to give very, very clear articulation. It's either I'm throwing this out there because I want us to come to consensus on the right next step, or I'm throwing this out there because I want your perspective and it's going to influence my decision on where we go with this, but I'm going to make the final call on it. What you have to say has weight with me, but it's not going to be a consensus situation. I'm going to make the call.
Yeah.
That delineation, saying it over and over again, eventually they're going to be like, we get it. But having the understanding, that can help. It's not a panacea. There's no magic bullet. There's just 1,000 golden BBs.
Yeah.
Leadership is not one skill. It's 100 skills stacked. So anyways, that's my thoughts on that. I couldn't help myself.
I think that's the thing about being a leader who wants to be better is I have way more figured out than I did 8 years ago. But there is a long, never-ending road ahead of me. So anything I can pick up
likewise.
While I'm on the road.
I love doing this podcast because I get to speak with people like yourself that
I appreciate it.
You have so much wisdom in areas that I don't. And we're all just walking each other home, right?
We're trying to grow. We're all just trying to grow in our own unique way. I appreciate that very much. We have put the second one into practice for a little bit, and it's definitely been helpful. So I can speak to how helpful that is for sure.
Good. Also, don't want to assume you aren't doing these things. So.
No, you're good. You're good.
If you have a listener and they're like, I really want to grow. I want to tap into this higher level of vulnerability, of knowing myself. Where do I even begin? How did you get from sitting on the edge of your bed in desperation to deciding to reach out?
This is always a hard one. So to paint a picture, I'm a visual person. I, in retrospect, did a really good job of building the umbrella long before the thunderstorm came. Alan, at that point, Alan's my business partner. He was my mentor. He was my coach, and he was quickly becoming one of my best friends. I thought he had answers to the questions that I had. He had worked on himself more than I had, and he had already left his job and began the pursuit of being an entrepreneur. So I valued his opinion, I trusted his feedback, and I felt safe. But I did that long before I needed that type of vulnerability. So I always tell people, because I want to make sure I'm honest and I'm accurate, it wasn't super vulnerable for me to reach out to him. I felt safe. I wasn't worried about it. But that was a year of effort before. So the advice I always give is start building the umbrella now.
Yes.
Because you don't know if and when you're going to need it. That's extra necessity. Next time your partner does something and you're thinking, well, I should share this, but I'm not going to. Let's share that, because number one, you're going to build resentment if you don't.
Right.
Number two, it's going to bring you closer. And number three, it's a smaller bridge to cross eventually if you do need to cross the bridge. When life is going really well, that's the time to practice the hard stuff.
Yes.
That is when we do it. We don't wait. We don't wait until it's hard. It's already hard enough. You don't want to be rolling it uphill at that point.
Perfect. I can't think of a better way to end this conversation than that beautiful nugget of wisdom.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Practice it when life is not falling apart. Practice it when it's easy. Easier. So, Kevin, how can people find you? If they are like, man, I connect with this guy. I want more of this. We'll drop all the links in the show notes, but where should people reach out?
I always say the podcast. We have conversations like this all the time. Make sure you listen to Layci first. Do not jump to us. Make sure you stay with Layci. That's not what I want. I don't want that.
We can both win. That. You can listen to him too.
Well, I know, but make sure you stick with Layci. I want to make sure everybody wins. I think that's probably the best place just because this is essentially what we talk about every day. It's just deep stuff, internal stuff, mental health, all that stuff. So Next Level University. We're on all the platforms. We're on YouTube. That's probably the best place.
Amazing. Kevin, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation, and I really look forward to following you myself and continuing to listen to your work as it's inspiring and gives me more tools to continue in my own journey as a leader.
I appreciate it. It was very valuable. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate you having me and giving me the opportunity to pour into your audience.
Fantastic. Well, listeners, you know the drill. Until next time, go manage like a leader.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Terrible Leader. If you're feeling brave and have your own terrible leader story that you'd like to share, head over to transcendleadershipcollective.com/podcast to fill out a guest application. We'd love to hear from you. Confessions of a Terrible Leader is hosted by Layci Nelson and produced and edited by Fixation Point Productions. Music is by Leif Olson and Mary Scott from the band The Number of Months. Confessions of a Terrible Leader is a free leadership resource offered by Transcend Leadership Collective. If you are ready to refuse the limits of average leadership and join the leadership revolution, visit transcendleadershipcollective.com to check out our offerings for engaging workshops, strategic planning, and more. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And until next time, go manage like a leader.